I am from Venezuela, and I was a mayor of El Hatillo. I was removed from office illegally by the dictatorship of Maduro. My name is David Smolansky Urosa, and I'm fighting from exile to free my country. I am Venezuelan on my mother's side. My mother was born in Caracas. My mom is so Venezuelan. She loves the food. She loves the music from my country. One of the first memories I had is my mom told me to love Venezuela. And then on my father's side, 4 generations of my family have been victims of communism. My great-grandfather had a lumber mill in the Soviet Union that was nationalized by the Soviets. He was detained by the regime, and after his release, he died. His daughter, my grandmother, fled to Cuba in 1929. She met my grandfather in Cuba, who fled the Soviet Union to Cuba too. He was from Ukraine. My grandfather had a men's clothing company, La Garantía. And in 1962, Castro's communist regime expropriated La Garantía. They fled Cuba to Venezuela in 1970 with my father, who was a teenager. My father always told me that leaving Cuba was like fleeing from a cave. And now the dictatorship of Maduro is dragging Venezuela into the abyss of communism. So my father taught me to challenge all the time authoritarian regimes. My mother told me to love Venezuela. I started in politics on the streets when I was a student. There were protests all the time. I am part of a new generation of leaders that has been very clear and very strong against the Chavez regime. The system is corrupt. Our economy is a mess. There's no food, there's no medicine, there's crime, and even kidnappings. I was always a critic of the mayors that we had in Caracas. So I decided to run as a mayor in my town, in El Hatillo, which is one of the 5 municipalities of Caracas. Many people told me that I was crazy to run as a mayor because I was so young, because I didn't have the experience, because I am the last place in the polls. That was my motivation all the time, that people underestimated me. When I was elected in 2013, I was 28 years old. I was the youngest mayor in Venezuela, and as far as I know, one of the youngest mayors in the history of my country. And then Hugo Chavez died in March of 2013. And his hand-picked successor, Maduro, came to power.
Esta es la revolución de Bolívar.
He's a butcher. He has killed hundreds of protesters. He has created chaos. He doesn't care about Venezuelans. At the beginning of the dictatorship of Maduro, I started in office as a mayor. I prepared my team, and our goals were really clear: transparency and security. In 2013, El Hatillo had 94 kidnappings. By 2017, El Hatillo had 16 kidnappings. So we changed things. The opposition leadership of the National Assembly had a proposal asking Maduro to resign. Hundreds of thousands of people decided to protest against Maduro. The police, they used tear gas and rubber bullets to repress the opposition, the police started to detain political prisoners. And that created more and more protest. Even though I had my differences with the regime, I was invited to a meeting with Maduro. The topic was security. I decided to go because security was my priority as a mayor. I presented results that we had in El Atillo, and then I had opportunity to talk. I said to him to free the political prisoners that he had in that moment.
No voy a dejar de mencionar, hoy injustamente se encuentran detenidos cientos de estudiantes que merecen estar libres, así como también Salvatore Lucchese, Enzo Escarano y el exalcalde Leopoldo López.
Quienes están presos porque violaron la ley y trataron de derrocar al gobierno legítimo que yo presido.
And he just went nuts.
Yo lo estoy citando a usted porque lo reconozco como alcalde. Yo le exijo a usted que me reconozca como presidente de la República y jefe de Estado. ¿No me reconoce? Entonces salga de esta reunión.
He has never heard someone tell him in his face to free political prisoners. I just felt that this is why I started in politics, to be irreverent, to be challenging. After that, 13 mayors were removed, and the political prisoners are still in jail. Venezuela went to the streets. Everyone was protesting. Things went crazy. I decided to not repress the protests as the regime wanted me to do. In August 2017, the regime removed me from office. It didn't take me by surprise. I participated in almost every protest. 24 hours after I was removed, political police of the regime were looking for me. I decided to flee my country to fight for democracy and freedom in Venezuela from exile. I fled Venezuela through Brazil. The journey was 1,300 kilometers, and I had to go through 35 checkpoints that were run by soldiers. I stayed focused that the decision to be in exile was the right one. Maduro is a communist tyrant. Real change in Venezuela needs people fighting from inside out and also from outside in.
Thousands of protesters descended on Venezuela's capital Caracas to demand an end to Maduro's regime. Venezuelan opposition leader and president of the National Assembly, Juan Guaidó, declared himself interim president.
Hoy, 23 de enero de 2019, juro asumir formalmente las competencias del Ejecutivo Nacional.
President Trump officially recognized Guaidó as interim president and warned the Maduro regime against harming the Venezuelans, calling for change.
Para salir de la dictadura, necesitamos del esfuerzo de todos los venezolanos, quienes están adentro, luchando en las calles, y quienes estamos en el exilio, trabajando con la comunidad internacional. Actuando de manera cohesionada, podremos tener una Venezuela libre y democrática,